Greetings, guys, gals, non-binary pals, and welcome back to another video. I was racking my brain trying to come up with more things to talk about. I was reminded of a trad wife on Twitter who literally never shuts up. She tweets 6 times a day, and it's honestly so impressive. I don't know how she manages to keep finding things to say. And there's a lot of repetition, obviously, but it's still very impressive because she's been doing this for years. I think the first time I made a video about her was 2021, and she's still going every day, just saying shit while saying that women shouldn't have a voice because, hypocrisy is what these people do. Anyway, her name is The Transformed Wife, and I thought it would be a good time to sit down and have a look at some of her tweets, and we can all smash our heads into a wall together, So yeah, that is what we are doing today. I would like to take a moment to say a massive thank you to today's patron of the day, Mimi. I appreciate you and your support so much, so thank you so much for joining, and I hope you enjoy this video. If anyone else would like to become a patron, you can go to patreon.com/savvycat or click the link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos 1 to 5 days early and with no ads for those days. And if you are unable to join my Patreon, which is so fair, but would still like to support me and the channel, then please do hit subscribe. Over 50% of you are regular viewers but are not subscribed, and it genuinely helps out so much. You don't even know. I appreciate it so much. I upload 3 times a week on Sundays, Wednesdays, and Fridays, and I would so appreciate if you could help me out by subscribing. And also, while you're down there, leaving a like and a comment, engaging with my content helps a lot. So yeah, anyways, now that I've gotten that out of the way, let's have a look at some of her tweets, shall we? Before birth control and abortions were freely given, marriage was valued. Women were far more reluctant to fornicate. They knew the odds of pregnancy was great and they needed a husband to provide for them. The purpose of the pill and abortion was to destroy the family. I don't quite think that's true, though, is it? I just don't think that's quite true. I love saying this as though I'm on your side. You're trying to say that women had less power before and that was a good thing. I personally am in favor of women having more power and control over their bodies, especially when you are someone who likes to sit here and be you have to have sex with your husband whenever he asks. Women were less willing to fornicate, but according to you have to. It's your responsibility if your husband asks. So I don't even know if that's a good argument, unless you're talking about just outside of marriage. Maybe that's what she's talking about. If you're married, you have to have babies, but if you're not, you shouldn't have sex at all because you shouldn't have babies outside of marriage. That's kind of, I guess, what she's probably implying. I also am obsessed with the introduction of these things were to destroy the family. Nope, the introduction of these things was to give women freedom and safety. And I hate to break it to you, but abortions have been happening for forever. Forever. They have always been around. They just haven't always been regulated or safe. So, they've always been happening. And birth control to some degree has always been a thing as well. Or some attempt or variation of it has been happening throughout all of human history. These are things that do happen. They were just harder to come by before and they were more dangerous. So by making them more accessible, it's allowing women freedom and also the ability to not harm themselves in choosing to do these things. I hope that helps. Women, you must make loving Jesus and obeying him look like the best things in life. And they are, to your children. If you're joyless and grumbling, why would they ever want to live for Jesus? Let them see you loving your husband and hear you singing with joy and having a merry, thankful heart. Lie to your children so that they grow up to be miserable too. Hate Jesus? Hate your husband? Suck it up. Pretend you're happy so that your kids will believe you, and then they'll end up miserable too and just hiding their emotions. If worshiping Jesus makes you joyless and grumbly, I just think that maybe either you're doing it wrong or it's not for you. And instead of lying and pretending it makes you happy, you should find something that actually does. Because like encouraging your kids to follow in your footsteps and the thing that they're following you into is misery, kind of shitty. Like I think it's good to show your kids like love and healthy love. Like I'm not going to deny that. But if you are actually actively unhappy, I think that the best example to be setting for your kids is making decisions that make you happy. Just me personally, I don't think we should be raising our kids to do things that make them unhappy. But like, maybe that's just me. In my mom's generation, very few women went to college nor had careers. They married for life and were home full time. None of her sisters or friends were divorced. Now, most women go to college and have careers. Divorce is common and children aren't raised by their mothers. First up, this woman went to college. By the way, she has a university degree. She went to university and then sits here constantly like, university is bad. Women shouldn't go to university. Hypocrite. And you can sit here and you can tell me like it didn't bring any value to you and you hated it and there was no point. I don't care. You still went. So you can shut the fuck up. Like I refuse to listen to any point you have on it considering you still went and you stuck it out. So like you can't be telling other women they're not allowed to make that choice for themselves too. University and careers are not the problem here. The problem is capitalism. Like if you have a problem with women working purely because it means they aren't at home raising their children, you don't have a problem with women working. You have a problem with the system that we are working in. It's not our fault that your country in particular does not give parents paid time off. The reason that babies, like newborn babies, are putting into like daycare and things so women can go to work is not because women now have careers. It's because women are not offered time off to look after their babies. The cost of living is astounding, so you cannot afford to be a single income household. And also, like, your jobs are not going to pay you to stay home and look after a baby. I think the solution here is one, the cost of living should be cheaper. And two, it should be mandatory to have paid time off for both parents for at least a year. At least a year. In some places in Europe, you get like 3 years of paid time off. And I think that that should be more standard. But instead, these trad wives and people who hold these beliefs keep voting for politicians who are anti-welfare. Like the most capitalistic, business-driven minds who want to eliminate welfare. They're like, yes, you should rule the country. But also, I think that living should be cheaper and women should stay home and look after the babies. You're voting for the wrong fucking people then, bro. Like, what you want is socialism. And yet, you're here like, socialism, evil. But I'm not going to give a reason why. Instead, I'm going to tell you all these socialist things that I want because I have no idea what I'm talking about. What you want is better welfare. But you aren't willing to do it because you don't want to help other people. You want to sit here and yell at people and tell other people they should do what you can do with money, but you aren't willing to actually help make that happen. Instead, you're just calling people lazy and shaming them for decisions that they are unable to make. So, like, we could be living in a world where parents can stay home and raise their children and also have careers, but you won't allow for that to happen. So, like, maybe shut the fuck up. That's what we're advocating for. Like, I would love for people to be able to have the choice to work. And I would also love for people to be able to take time off and still be able to afford a comfortable life if they should choose to stay home and look after their children. And I do think it would be good if people could stay home and look after their children for their like early formative years. Like, I think that would be fantastic. And I think that we should offer support for that. But unfortunately, most places don't do that. That's capitalism's fault. Not women's. And I also think it should apply to all genders. Like, it shouldn't just be a mother who gets to take time off to spend time with the baby. It should be both parents. They should be able to do that together. Why did God create Adam first and put him in charge of everything instead of Eve? Why didn't God send his daughter to die for our sins to save us? Why didn't Jesus choose one female apostle? Why are pastors and deacons only to be men? Simple. This is God's divine order of authority. Or it's misogyny and the long-lasting, long-standing hatred of women. Who wrote the Bible? Who wrote those stories? Like, misogyny has always been around and now people can like look at the Bible and use it as an excuse to continue being misogynistic. Like, I'm sorry. The reason is just because men hate women. Thankful for masculine men leading our country. And it's Trump and JD Vance in the, meeting with the president of Ukraine, threatening World War III. If that's what you mean by masculine men, I'm real concerned about your standard for men. This man just went in and threw a fucking hissy fit. Like, he literally threatened World War III to get what he wanted. And you're here like, wow, we love strong masculine men. That's terrifying. I don't think that should be our standard for masculine men. Donald Trump throws a hissy fit every other fucking day. And they're the most terrifying hissy fits ever. He's throwing a toddler level temper tantrum, threatening World War III and genocide. Like, he is terrifying. I don't understand how you can sit here and be like, wow, masculine men, finally. The men in your life are shockingly shit. If that's your idea of like an ideal, strong, masculine man, your idea of men is fucked. His emotions are unhinged. You're out here being like, women shouldn't rule countries because we're led by our emotions. He's throwing temper tantrums. He is like the most emotionally irrational person I've ever seen because he's never been said no to and he's never had his emotions put in check ever because he is a rich man with money and power and he can do whatever the fuck he wants. Women desire to be protected and provided financially from their husbands just as much as husbands desire respect and sexual intimacy from their wives. Why is this so difficult for women to comprehend and even offends many? This sounds like prostitution to me. Women want money, men want sex. Play that back. Let me hear you say it one more time. Do you know what that's called? When you give someone sex in exchange for money? I'm waiting for an answer. Like, did you not hear yourself when you said that? Like, women get married to get money, men get married to have sex. That's just like a contractual long-term prostitution deal. Like, I'm sorry. The only difference is in this case that like they are contractually legally tied together and she can't leave because she relies on that money, you know? So like, yikes. I also am a big fan of women desire this and then at the end being like, women don't understand this. So clearly they don't desire it then. Women don't understand what women desire. I think that if anyone understands what they desire, it's the person doing the desiring or not. I am a woman. I don't desire that. Really simple to piece together there. Women complain that they need 2 incomes to survive. If they weren't in bondage to their jobs due to student loan debt and instead had worked and saved the money, they would be able to be home full time, even if it meant living simply and frugally. College is a scam to keep women out of their homes and away from their families. You are so close to the point. Like, you are so close to the point. I think the point actually is that education should be affordable. Like, you should be able to get a university education without going into debt. Once upon a time, you used to be able to do that. In some places, like in Europe, you are still able to do that. I don't have a student debt. Like, I don't have a student loan. My university cost $1,200. That's like $800 US per semester, and I'm lucky enough that like my parents paid it, but like even still, like that's not a huge amount of money compared to what I know it costs for a lot of other people. So I personally, right, am not in debt. Could I afford could I afford to have kids on just one income? Absolutely not. I make a decent income, right? And I still, like, run out of money just for myself. Like, I don't understand how you think that, like, stopping going to university is going to help. Like, firstly, university should be more affordable. You shouldn't have to go into debt to get an education and to get a good career. Straight off the bat, I agree with you there. You didn't say it, but it was implied. And secondly, even if you don't have any debt from university, living on one income is still incredibly difficult. Divorcing due to irreconcilable differences is one of the most destructive things in the world. Wives, submit to your husband in everything as God commands, unless he asks you to sin. There are no foolish, irreconcilable differences when women are taught how to be godly wives. The worst, but like funniest part about this tweet is the reply that she hid. Yes, stay with your abuser as he trains you to be the perfect wife. Women have agency and the church church is at fault for forcing women to stay with abusers. As an adult, no woman should be told that she needs to be trained by a man. Marriage is a partnership. Which, exactly, fucking go off, say it louder. I'm obsessed with the fact that she saw this reply and hid it so other people can't see it unless they like go into the hidden reply section. Like, girl, this is you straight up just being like, yeah, that's a really valid point that I don't have an argument to, so I'm just gonna pretend you didn't say it. Which is just admitting that you are encouraging women to stay in abusive relationships and to ignore the fact that they're abuse and just deal with it. Yikes. I mean, so you are aware that's what you're doing. So you are aware that's what you're doing. And instead of addressing that fact, you're like, I do not see. That's not happening. Marriage is good. Don't divorce. Divorce is bad. It's harmful for your kids. Who cares if you hurt? Let everyone be abused. It's fine as long as your husband is happy. That's all that matters. And like, this aside even, like, let's say hypothetically speaking, you weren't encouraging fucked up abusive power dynamics. I think that divorcing just because you aren't happy anymore is completely valid. I think that's fair enough. I don't understand what people's problem is with like relationships ending and like divorces happening. Like, it's truly just none of your business. Like, sure, maybe it's upsetting, but like, so like, things happen in life. You can't just do things that make you miserable. If you're unhappy, you can take action to be happy. If that's an option, you should do that. And I think that's totally valid. I think that just because you get a divorce, it doesn't make the relationship any less meaningful. Like, sometimes relationships aren't meant to last forever. Any relationship that you have of any sort is important for no matter how long it lasts for. You could be in a relationship for 6 months, you could be for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years, 30. And if that ends, it doesn't negate the entire relationship. It doesn't erase the relationship. You still learned, you still loved, you still had those experiences. And like, you want to end it when it reaches its natural end. Otherwise, it does taint the entire relationship. If you end it before you resent each other, it means the relationship is so much more meaningful than forcing yourself to stay where you were unhappy. Because then it just kind of like bleakens the entire thing, you know? Like, sometimes you just need to move on. Sometimes that is what is best for you and for them and for everyone else. And I don't understand why it's so frowned upon. A ton of videos on YouTube warn women to go to college and have a career because being a trad wife can easily lead to poverty when the husband leaves. Women don't need this. They need to be taught how to be godly wives. Most are never taught. The majority of men won't leave a kind, loving, servant-hearted, gentle, and peaceful wife. Servant-hearted is insane. Can we take a moment to like just putting that in there as like a descriptor to being like, men won't leave you if you're servant-hearted. I don't want to be with a man who loves me because I'm servant-hearted. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is not something I aspire to be. That is not something I want to be for anyone. I would rather be single than be servant-hearted. Are you fucking kidding me? But again, let's say, hypothetically speaking, you were a godly woman with a husband and he still leaves you, because here you don't say all, you say most men. That means it will still happen, because it does. What about those poor fucking women then? They are going to be led into poverty because now they have nothing because their husbands have left. And you've been like, it's not important because if you're just godly, they won't leave you. You didn't even say no men will leave you. You said that some still will. So, like, you haven't even taken away, like, so this point is still valid then. Women still do need these skills and their own money because men do fucking leave no matter what you do. Doesn't matter if it's most or not, it still fucking happens. Feminism is against women's nature. Women weren't created to be men and fill men's roles and responsibilities. Women were created to marry, bear children, and guide the home. If some women aren't married, they're still created to nurture and be home, not be men. I love being created to marry, first up, because I don't know how long marriage has been around for, but it's definitely not been all of human existence. It's definitely a relatively new thing, I would say. And what about in like cultures and things that don't do marriage or like don't believe in the same rules of God as you do? Like, and even that aside, I don't think anyone was created to be like an accountant or a banker, you know, or like a mechanic. You know what I mean? It's like women shouldn't fill men's roles. Men's roles is to be a worker. Like in an office job, like I don't think Adam was sitting at a computer. Like I don't think God created Adam and was like, ah yes, he'll be so good at doing taxes one day. Like going back to like God's creation, there was nothing that we have now. No one was created to live in the world that we do now. Like these roles are all so different. Like, okay, maybe you can go like men were created to do manual labor, which I still disagree with, but I'll give you more points than to just be like men were created to do all of the work, because manual labor has always been a thing. That's always been around. Most of the jobs we have now, though, are very new. Like, last few decades new, even. Come on, girl. Oh my god. No one was created to do half the shit we have now. You can't assign a gender to, like, jobs that didn't exist until like 5 years ago. Has feminism made women happier as the feminist leaders promised? Are women happier in the workforce, being single with no children, fornicating freely, having abortions and growing old alone? True and lasting joy only comes from loving God and living in obedience to him. Take out that last sentence. The answer to the question is yes. Like, big yes. Women are happier now. We do in fact like having freedom, the ability to work should we want to, and earn our own money. Some women do not want to be in relationships, especially, you know, when those relationships rely entirely on the other party. Some women do not want to have children. Like, yes, women are happier now. And most of us do not get joy and like find fulfillment in loving God. All right? That's your life. Not everyone else's. I promise we are overall happier. And like the things that make us unhappy and the reason like mental health rates and stuff are so low is not because of feminism. It's because of capitalism. It's because of, you know, the fact that we have to work ourselves to death just to have a place to live and food to eat. It's the fact that climate change is a massive issue. It's the discrimination that still exists and the oppression that we still face. It's like the homophobia, racism, transphobia. Like there are so many right-wing governments right now, and that the most influential country in the world is being thrown by a man who throws a hissy fit and threatens World War III. Like, you know, that's where our issues come in. It's not the feminism that's the problem. It's people like you. Yes, we are happier with where we are as women than we were, and we could be happier still. When you say that your husband hurt your feelings, you're being led by your feelings. Instead, be led by truth. Pour love and grace upon him, and remind yourself that love bears all things and is not easily provoked. Stop dwelling on your feelings. Dwell on loving him as Christ has commanded you to love him. I'm just obsessed with the line, when you say your husband hurts your feelings, you're being led by your feelings. Like, no shit. Obviously, he hurt my feelings. So yeah, I'm thinking with my fucking feelings. What do you mean? What are you talking about? Yeah, that's literally the point. Follow the truth. My feelings are the truth. Stop fucking gaslighting me. You're not allowed to feel emotions because Jesus told you to love your husband. Doesn't mean he can't hurt my fucking feelings, though. It's wild to me to imply that, like, you can't be hurt by someone you love. Like, I can be upset and love someone at the same time. Believe it or not, they do not negate each other. Like, someone can piss me off and it doesn't mean I don't love them anymore. And if you have expressed emotions to your husband and he's told you that, like, calm down, you're being irrational, don't be mad at me, listen to God, you're only allowed to show me love, he's being emotionally abusive. Like, if you were having your emotions constantly shut down and being belittled until you, like, cannot express your emotions to someone, or they tell you it means you don't love them, you are being abused. You are allowed to have emotions, and emotions and love do coincide. You can feel positive emotions and negative emotions towards someone you love, and it doesn't take away or change the love that you feel. Having babies with one man who loves you and commits his life to you in marriage is far superior to having sex with a bunch of different men who see you only as an object. Don't be led astray by these harlots trying to make fornication seem like a good thing. It's not. It's deadly. Hey, did you know that different people get joy out of different things? Like, no one is denying that, like, settling down and having sex with someone that you love is not enjoyable. Like, for some people, that is obviously a preference. For a lot of people who are having casual sex, That is going to be an end goal. They're just not there yet, and this is what they're enjoying right now. Like, for a lot of people, yes, sex with someone that you love is going to be more fulfilling, but that doesn't mean that casual sex is not also something to enjoy. They're not the same thing. And like, trying to call it a good thing, if it wasn't a good thing, why does it feel good? You know, like, come on. How can something pleasurable be bad? I feel like if God wanted me to not have sex, he wouldn't have made it so sex is enjoyable. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it. And they'll like to say it's like, it's a test. He's testing you. I don't want to fucking follow someone who makes my whole life into a test for what I can do in the afterlife. Like, that's some bullshit, right? Like, that's real fucked up. He just doesn't seem like a good guy, you know? Like, also calling it deadly? You're being a little bit dramatic here. Let people do what they want. If people want to have casual sex, let them have casual sex. I don't know what it has to do with you. Why are you so obsessed by other people's sex lives? Let them live, man. It's not, you don't have to if you don't want to. That's fine. Good for you. But let other people do what they want. It's a lot more important and beneficial to invest your time into your family and those around you rather than investing your time into knowing what's happening in the world. This is a incredibly privileged statement to be making right here. I think it's actually very important to be invested in both. I think that yes, it's important to be invested in your family and providing for your family. Obviously, that is like one of the most important things. But I think you should really be knowing what's going on in the world around you. Like, the fact you're able to ignore everything outside of yourself shows that you're selfish, and also just like how privileged you are. And the fact that, like, I was gonna say you vote. She doesn't vote. Your husband votes. Like, the fact that like are actively making decisions on what you want the world to look like without actually knowing what's going on in the world. Like, you shut up then. If you aren't paying any attention to like the political climate or anything outside of yourself, you are not allowed an opinion on what the world should do or look like because you don't know the circumstances or anything that is happening. God's ways are perfect. This is why Satan and his agents, trolls, try so hard to shut me up. They don't women's marriages to become stronger and have them home raising godly offspring. They love divorce, abortion, and neglected children. Stay strong in the Lord, women. I'm so obsessed with calling Satan's agents trolls. That's fucking hilarious. Internet trolls are actually all agents of Satan. That's so funny. That's so funny. Also, the plot of Angels After Man, the third book in the Angels trilogy. It's not, but it should be, because that's fucking hilarious. That's just such a funny thing. I'm just kind of obsessed with internet trolls being agents of Satan. That's given me like such hilarious visuals in my mind, and like I'm cackling about it. That's so funny. I don't understand. I just truly don't understand. They love abortion, divorce, and neglected children. No, it's about choice, man. Like, no one loves those things. People just want the freedom to be able to have them. That's literally it. If agents of Satan, like, if what Satan wants is for people to have, like, the choice to do things, then they should be able to. Here's the thing, isn't the whole thing with, like, Christianity and God about free will? So then surely that should mean that, like, I'm allowed to get divorced, I'm allowed to get abortions, like, I'm allowed to do all of those things. That is my free will to do. And, like, I'll be punished for it in the afterlife if I do it. Like, if ultimately life is all just one big test to decide if I go to heaven or hell, surely I should be able to do all of the things. And if I make the wrong decision, then I get punished accordingly in the afterlife, right? Because if you're not giving me the opportunity or option to get divorced or have an abortion or take birth control, then, like, how am I being tested fairly? You've taken away my free will there, right? Like, surely I should have the choice to choose, and then God can decide accordingly how to deal with me for that choice. Like, I don't know shit about anything, but, like, I'm pretty sure that free will is the entire point of religion, and yet you're here, like, advocating to not be able to have choices. Her tweets are always so fun. I always have a good time laughing at her because she says some things. She, as I said, tweets like 5 times a day. So if you want to see another one of these, please do let me know. Leave a thumbs up, comment down below. Let me know any other videos you want to see from me. I have been racking my brain for more ideas and I have been coming up short because uploading 3 times a week really does steal all of the energy and idea brain, because that's a lot of ideas to be coming up with constantly. So please let me know if you have any recommendations. A massive thank you to my Kiwi Cat patrons: Bobby, Ellie, Chris, Samuel, Knitting Menace, Radsack, Mr. Noodle, Lady Nutbar, Ella, Queen Glimmer, River, Phenomenally, Jesse, Phil the Duck, Uh-Oh It's Craiglow, Blaze, Blue Kitsune 24, MA Ping the Games, Joy, L James D, Prismatic, and Beckett. I love and appreciate you so much. Thank you so much for joining. If you would like to become a patron, you go to patreon.com/ShavyCat or click the top link in the description. For as little as £1 a month, you get my videos 1 to 5 days early and ad free. And then for £3 and up, you get things such as outtakes, live streams, vlogs, and more. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, The Queer Kiwi, and Twitter, That Queer Kiwi. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. Stay safe. Keep fighting. I love you. Mwah. When you close your eyes, you replace